Hello, my music-loving friends. I hope you followed directions because today you need something that's in your secret pocket over here. All right, so in your pocket you should have your scale measuring tape. We're going to leave that there for right now. And then you should have this other little piece of paper. That's the thing you need right now. You can set your book aside for the moment. We are going to talk about whole steps and half steps. I'm going to show you with my fingers because on the violin, a whole step and a half step is very clear visually. So when you first learn to put your fingers down, I'm going to have my hand like this, even though I know it would be like this if I play violin. But when you first learn to play violin, you have your first finger a space away from second finger. These two are near each other, probably touching, depending on how big your fingers are. And then there's a space here once you get to fourth finger, right? When your fingers are spaced out like so, that is a whole step. When your fingers are close together, that is a half step. So that's really easy to figure out on the violin when your fingers are down, which one's whole step and which one is half step. So now we're going to look at what the symbols for that look like, and then we're going to compare that to the scale measuring tape that we made the other day. Now there are symbols for whole and half step. Importantly, I had you fold this paper all at once because the little squares need to line up. So I'm showing you where my folds are. You don't necessarily need to do this, but if your fold lines aren't as obvious as they used to be, you might want to recrease them a little bit. And for this, I'm actually going to encourage you to use a boring color. Maybe you like black, maybe it's not boring to you, but I'm going to use black, maybe use pencil, but we want this to be really clearly defined, okay? So when we want to indicate a whole step, that space between the fingers, the marking for that looks like a little bracket, and our bracket needs to go from this rectangle in the middle to this rectangle in the middle. There's going to be an empty one in the middle, so draw this with me. On this one on the end, right in the middle, put a vertical line like so. There needs to be a little bit of space above it. Skip this square. Go to the third square and draw a line just like you drew in that other one with a little space above it. And then we are going to connect those two lines. I'll move my hand out of the way in just a minute. So if you ever look at your music and your teacher or somebody has written this between two notes, it's a space and it's called a whole step. So we're going to label that over here. So in your remaining square over here, we're going to write whole step. W-H-O-L-E, step. A whole step sounds like so. If I play a note that sounds like first finger on the A string, and then I play a note that sounds like second finger when it's far away like that. So first finger, second finger. All right, turn this over. So I said that there are whole steps and half steps. So when they're touching like this, we call that a half step. And for that, we are going to draw a symbol like so. We're going to use the two squares over here. We're going to start, it's going to be like a little upside down V or like the top of a triangle. And it's going to start on the fold line. And it's going to go down like so. All right, and then we're going to draw the exact mirror image of that. And notice that I went to the middle of my little rectangle here. So I'm going to do that same thing over here. Ta-da! That is the marking for a half step. If you see that on your music, it means fingers are touching, okay? Some of y'all might have real skinny fingers and maybe they don't touch as closely, but the premise is the same, okay? And what did I call that? I called that a half step. H-A-L-F, step. Okay, so you know what the symbols are. You know what the finger position looks like. So now it's time to start considering how this might apply to the actual notes on the fingerboard.